with the win, the Packers improved to 6-3, but they still trail the Lions, who are now 7-2. Matthew Stafford, you guys watched that game last night? He threw a touchdown with 29 seconds left so they could beat the Dolphins. So now they sit again at 7-2, and we asked this question, and Stephen A., I'll give it to you. Who do you think is the best in the NFC North?
I think right now, as much as I love that bad man Aaron Rodgers, I have to give it to the Detroit Lions because their defense is legit. I mean, when I think about the Green Bay Packers, all I think about is Aaron Rodgers because I think he's the best quarterback talent-wise in football and one of the greatest I've ever seen. He is a bad man. But I got to tell you, what I'm looking at from the Detroit Lions, I give a lot of props to Matthew Stafford. He drove them downfield. His composure was up there. His composure was very, very impressive. That was a big-time touchdown pass as far as I'm concerned. I look at Megatron returning back to the lineup, catching that big-time touchdown catch that he caught. I know what Reggie Bush can do when healthy. I love the fact that Golden Tate is now on that roster. I see that they have offensive components, but defensively, they are a shutdown, lockdown defensive unit. They can amp it up to another level and make things incredibly inconvenient. They're one of the top 3 teams defensively in the NFL, and I think that the acquisition of head coach Jim Caldwell, Skip, in all seriousness, has elevated these guys to another level.
And you weren't sure about him, about his demeanor.
Well, I wasn't sure about him, but I knew he'd be better than Schwartz. I thought that Schwartz prided himself on having a renegade kind of mentality and sort of instilling that in the players. There's nothing wrong with being a renegade as long as you're one of discipline. But when you don't have discipline, and as all these servicemen and women can speak to, you're not going to be successful in a sustainable kind of way. You'll have moments of success, but nothing sustainable. What I'm seeing from the Lions is something that can be sustained because they can hang their hat on limiting you. Even when they went down 21-0 in England against Atlanta a few weeks ago, that was early, and then all of a sudden they amped it up, and the Atlanta Falcons didn't score another point. When you have a defense that is capable at a moment's notice of saying enough's enough, and we're going to shut you down, and then they do it week after week after week, that gives your offense a chance. And that's what happened with Detroit last night. I don't see Green Bay being able to do that on the defensive side of the ball. If they're going to win, it's going to be because of Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, those boys. It's not going to be because of their defense. Defense wins championships. Offense wins games. I'm going with the Detroit Lions as the best team in the NFC North right now.
You have shocked me with your reverse of field in this division. And it started last Friday when we just happened to be in the state of Michigan at Michigan State University. And you knocked me out of my chair by suddenly jumping ship on that bad man, Aaron Rodgers, and you picked Detroit after you picked Green Bay before the year.
I didn't suddenly do it. You just didn't ask me until last week.
Oh, so that
Had you asked me weeks earlier, I would have told you weeks earlier.
Oh, I think I did, actually.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Check the tapes.
So I'll leave the tapes for tomorrow. But the point here is I look at the Lions right now, and I look at them barely surviving game after game. And I got to give it up to Matthew Stafford. I didn't think he could pull that off. And I did pick the Dolphins to pull off the upset. And I thought I had it until Matt Stafford pulled off one of his gunslinger plays that have often backfired right in his face. He rolls to his left the wrong way and throws it a crossbody sidearm to little Riddick and actually threw him a curveball that curved beautifully right into little Riddick's hands as he dived for the football. It was a beautiful throw and catch that Matt hasn't always been able to pull off under pressure. But now they seem to be getting on a quiet little roll, in large part because of maybe the best defense in pro football. But I'm here to tell you, I'm going to stick with your former team, the Green Bay Packers, to win this division because I look at the Lions' schedule. It is much tougher than Green Bay's.
It is.
Because the Lions now have to go to Arizona, albeit against Drew Stanton. We'll talk about them a little later in the show. Then they have to go to New England. And you want to talk about a bad man? That's a bad man up in New England right now.
Tom Brady.
He is the baddest man in pro football is now in New England.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, my.
And then your Detroit Lions have to finish at Green Bay. Now, that's pretty dicey, especially that deep into the season with the snow falling. Green Bay could get on a roll right now. I could see Green Bay winning 6 of its last 7. It has one shaky game, one dangerous game at Green Bay when the baddest man in pro football, Tom Brady, visits and goes toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. That'll be a spectacle, won't it? But let's just say, for argument's sake, Green Bay wins that game. Green Bay could win out. Green Bay could go, 13-3? That I wouldn't be shocked at that. So I think scheduling-wise, they have a huge advantage over your new team, the Lions.
Well, I'm looking at the Lions. Obviously, Arizona's going to be tough, but Carson Palmer's not there, even though Stanton is capable of winning games.
He's been pretty good.
He's been pretty good. We'll see what happens when he's going up against this top-rated defense. Obviously, being on the road in Foxborough is going to be an incredible challenge. We'll see what happens then. As great as we know Tom Brady to be, we also know that he's lost 2 Super Bowls because he tends to tap dance better than the late, great Gregory Hines, God rest his soul.
Did he tap dance against the Denver Broncos?
When you put pressure on him, and the Detroit Lions are capable of putting pressure on him. As far as I'm concerned, after that, Chicago twice, Tampa and Minnesota. I'm sorry, I'm so concerned. I'm so concerned. So I don't look at it, even though it's a formidable schedule, and I appreciate where you're coming from. I don't look at it as being as formidable as you project.
I got the Green Bay Packers and that sort of bad man, Aaron Rodgers.
He's a bad boy.